let battle begin.
action figures fight just like I imagined as a kid, and now yours can too. All it takes is one photo and the story you want to tell, and you can create your own Toy Stories on the Knock Knock app. It'll instantly create a storyboard preview like you're a director. Then just hit the Animate It button.
Contact front, mask up! Target down, re-engaging. Changing mag, keep their heads down!
Join the fun.
Bravo 6.
Knock Knock.
Going dark.
All right, welcome everybody to the next episode in our Unlocking Gemini podcast, which we have officially rebranded, given all the new things happening within Google. And this week, I am joined by Anhai Jin, Head of Data and Analytics at TTEC Digital, who works in our Google practice. And we're going to be diving into this concept of modern data estate today. But before I do that, Anhai, if you want to give a quick intro, kind of a little bit about your background, how you got here, and then we'll jump into the topic.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me here. I lead the data and analytics team at Google Practice in TTEC Digital. I'm privileged to run a global team of data engineers, data scientists, machine learning engineers, and platform specialists. So together, we help enterprise brands transform their legacy data architectures, build modern, scalable data architecture and foundations for generative AI, and deploy production-ready machine learning models and AI solutions that will help these enterprises turn raw data into true insights that is actionable.
That's awesome. So Anhai, we've worked together for several years, and we've kind of seen the evolution of what's happening around the application of AI for data. We hear terms like AI-ready data. We've seen some of the challenges that companies are having, as well as just kind of the transformation that they're going through. But this concept of modern data estate keeps kind of coming up as we're getting into these deeper AI conversations. So I'd love to just start there, maybe ground us in what is modern data estate and what does it kind of mean for companies right now?
Yeah, sure. So modern data estate, first of all, I think it's not just a infrastructure, right, for data warehouses. It's I would say it's a unified cloud-enabled data ecosystem that will deliver trusted, governed, and accessible data to various users across the enterprise. I see it as a foundation to fuel faster decisions, right? Smarter insights and scalable innovation, which the legacy on-premise data warehouses are not able to address with the growing business needs. So, right, the terminology might be new, but the concept is really about evolving the data warehouse and infrastructure in a way that is ready for modern AI applications and solution development.
Okay. So when I think about that, like applying it to customer experience, where I spend most of my time, and the typical around both the contact center, the customer journey, where we see customers applying things like conversational AI, or they're going out and doing automation in the contact centers. But when we think about the modern data estate piece of it, like applications being enabled by that or connected to it, like take me one step further, like how are people using this to then inform kind of downstream other applications or enable those to be successful?
Yeah. So I think, as I mentioned, that the modern data estates really enables flexibility, speed, and intelligence when it comes to customer experience space, right? Think about when it comes to the flexibility, it does not only house and process structured data, it also process and analyze unstructured data. For example, call audio files, chat logs, agent notes about the case management, right? So on and so forth. So that's the level of flexibility that it can enable when it comes to the data processing. And in terms of the type of application modern data estate can enable or unlock, I see it as three different flavors or aspects.
Sure.
One is more on the agentic analytics. So, right, if you take your experience with nowadays generative AI with like a chat interface, right? When it comes to agentic analytics, it will allow users, either right internal users or executives, to ask questions in a more plain natural language ways, right? Or like basically more like analytic questions. And then the other is they are able to, with the modern data estate being established, which I mentioned is trusted data. So you will be able to get back trusted and real-time answers, and also visualizations can be generated instantly to assist, right, these executives or internal users as part of their decision making. I think that's one part, which will be fairly significantly different than how, right, analytics were done, right, with legacy on-premise data warehouses, where you ask specialized data engineer, data scientists to convert your business question into technical spec, and then pull the data for a couple of weeks and run the analysis. By the time you get the insights, it probably is a couple months down the road. Now you are able to get the insights in a much faster way. So that's one type of application. The other type of application in the CX space is more autonomous CX agents, right? We can see, we all kind of see how virtual agents can do things and automate the workflows. But with modern data estate built as the foundation to capture the full customer journey context, now with right, the customer, either customer-facing AI agents or internal-facing agents, to access the data to understand the full context, right? This virtual agents in the CX space can really handle much complex business problems, that which really can deliver value. And lastly, I'm gonna keep it short, which is you can embed machine learning and AI applications, right, as part of your workflow. Because machine learning, we've been building machine learning models to assist a business decision making for a while. But right, typically machine learning project will stand alone as a like science project and take for like multiple months to do it. Right. And now with modern data estates, right, in accommodating or enabling the flexibility, so machine learning can be embedded as part of the data flow. So by the time when you capture the most recent interactions about the customer, you can really run your real-time lifetime value scoring, right, for your customer, or like a churn risk scoring while your agent are talking to the customer. So all the decision making will be made right instantly to assist right various workflows.
So I'm hearing you say a couple of things there, and I kind of want to dive into each one of them maybe as we go through this. So
yes,
part of it is on the kind of the new tool sets where AI is being applied to the data to make it easier to access, understand, action against that data. And then obviously this concept of things being essentially real time now, where they have not been historically. So yes, go a little bit deeper on this idea of like being able to talk to your data in natural language, where we're seeing this, but kind of change the way companies have historically used dashboards, or because I know we get into these conversations with customers sometimes where they're saying, hey, I need to move or recreate these 500 dashboards. And to me, that's a kind of a legacy concept where now you're essentially creating dashboards almost in real time, it feels like, with the way that you can get access to the data, you can speak to it, but you can explain it way better than I can.
Yeah, sure. I think there are a couple of things that I can touch on right here. One is the setup of the infrastructure as part of the modern data estates. As you mentioned, right, companies spend millions of dollars and resources to create this dashboard as a new business requires coming in, and because of all the interdependencies across all these dashboards, whenever they make a decision on discontinuing certain ones, they run into this rabbit hole with all the dependencies, and at the end of the day, they cannot make changes to this dashboard, or even if they want to make the changes, it involved a lot of manual work to revise the definition that is sitting in every single report, right? So from a modern data estate standpoint, there are services in the Google Cloud platform that addresses these problems. So specifically, there are two services. One is the knowledge catalog, which formerly known as Dataplex, that helps to track the data lineage so that you can really help the business monitor all the data transformation from its origin to its destinations in a centralized way, so that you establish a good governance layer on the data aspect. Then there's another service which as part of the Looker, which is a LookML, that serves as a semantic layer to house the definitions of all various business definitions as well as business glossaries in a centralized way. So when different business users build dashboards, right, they will always refer to this centralized place for the definition. So agent referring to a active customer will be consistent with how a CFO define active customer, right?
Gotcha.
And what we have noticed while we're serving different clients is it is a pretty common challenge when you build 500 or 1,000 plus report over the years, and you run into this huge challenge with very fundamentally achieve a certain level of consistency.
Sure.
So that is really come from a infrastructure setup to make sure, right, Google has the right technology to help address the problems. Then when it comes to actual implementation of these dashboards, we TTAC also have a very practical framework with how we approach the dashboard design and the development. And for its nature, it's really around user-centric. Because what we've seen and noticed with many businesses, it's always like they build dashboard when a business needs comes in, and it always creates the dashboard fatigue over the years. And what we try to do is try to understand what exactly the user is looking for as part of the workflow, and try to take that into consideration while we design those dashboards. That's one. Then the two is we are fully leveraging the value or the power of technology. Well, when we establish the modern data estate, we enable self-service feature as part of the platform, where so that business users can really validate their business hypothesis when these hypotheses arise. So they do not need to really come to the development team to build a dashboard for their hypothesis validation. And as we encourage more business users to leverage the self-service, it also give the development team some more relief from a bandwidth standpoint. But also, as we see all the different users are trying to leverage self-service, right, naturally and logically, we will see the analytics pattern or the reporting pattern converge, and that's when we will assist business on development of the certain dashboards as a routine process.
Okay. So in that, you're talking about the semantic layer and creating kind of like the definitions to make sure that there's a common definition across the words, so that it means the same thing. It can get lost over the years. This is just my own curiosity. Like, how is that changing, having that available? How is that changing how you approach when you're going out and building out the modern data estate? Like, if I think about what would you have done previously, what you can do now as you're creating this common word, common definition base, right? That's going to be out there. But like, how has it changed your approach when you guys are going in and working on these projects?
Yeah. So what we've experienced is one, as we build the centralized repository of data metrics and the glossary, it assures the level of consistency in a way that business users try to access the data and generate reports, they already got assured that whatever they see from the process is trustable, because we only make, as part of the modern data estate, we only make business approved and trusted data sets accessible
Gotcha.
versus comparing to the legacy data warehouse, right? The data element, the data becomes available in the production environment for different business users. And as you make the data more accessible to all users, that also, right, create a challenge with right, consistency and nuances on, while people are trying to interpret. So I think that's really kind of like really changing fundamentally. And the other thing is because it's centralizing a repository. So when business need to make modifications with appropriate governance and ownership for the governance, it become actually easier to for the ongoing maintenance, because you may need to change any places where a certain metric are used in various dashboards. Now it's just like one place which is either in I think it's mostly right in the look and mail layer, where you need to make modifications, right, based on alignments, right, within the business.
Okay. No, that makes sense. It's just it's evolving, and kind of on that theme, I guess. As I think about how business users in the past have interacted with reports or dashboards, it's obviously a very historical view, and the actionable data would be based off of, did you check the dashboard today? Did you check it yesterday? Did you apply the right filters? To me, like the outcomes of the data was only as smart as the analyst that's going in and actually looking at the data.
Exactly.
And, like, did you go deep enough? And you can easily miss things. So in this new world where you've got AI, the potential of it to be constantly looking for trends in the data, looking for changes, and then this kind of, as you were going through your answers there, I was thinking about like this proactive piece kept coming to my mind, or predictive piece, but being able to surface things proactively, so as there's trends in data is changing, it can notify you, you can be aware of it. And so I'd love to just get your thoughts on that concept, because that seems to be like where there's tremendous business value, being able to surface things in real time and not have to wait for somebody to go discover it on accident.
Yeah, exactly. So so that comes to a couple of things here. I mentioned that modern data estate is all about flexibility, speed, and intelligence.
Yeah.
And if you think about the legacy data warehouses, which is really about retrospective data processing, right? Batch processing. So modern data estate will enable more real-time or near real-time data ingestion, processing, and the data analysis.
Sure.
So so that you can get your reports, your insights more quickly, but also as part of the dashboards and reports, you can embed AI as part of the workflow. So you can enable more like agentic workflows in terms of mining the data, which is really reflected through the dashboards, and have the AI to help reasoning on what's being captured through the dashboards. So as a business user, human, you can make the assessment based on what the initial insights are served by AI, and then take the next step on further drill down. And this is where I see the speed, acceleration of data to insights really coming in place.
No, that's awesome. This has been this has been great. You've already taught me several things. You got my curiosity piqued. I've got to go do some research, and I'm sure I'm going to follow up with questions for you. So thank you for taking time to go through this and kind of enlighten us on this whole modern data estate concept. As things continue to progress, I'm sure we'll have you back, and love to see how this entire area is kind of maturing.
And I'm sure Google will have new features out there that keep accelerating what's possible with AI and data.